So I bought about 6 of these cheap Bitaxes from AliExpress last month, and they all seem to run pretty good. Out of the box, they do seem to run a little bit warm. You can see that the ambient temperature here is about 21.4 degrees with 55% humidity. And let's see how hot one of these babies is running right now. If I can get the camera to focus, it's about, 59.9 degrees, 0.8 degrees. So it's fairly warm. It doesn't really give you much space to overclock these babies and push more terahash. So I want to remove the fan and the heatsink and put on a new fan and heatsink and some copper heatsinks on the front and back of the voltage regulator. And I want to see how far I can push these babies. I'd be happy if I can push over 2 terahash, but let's see how we go. I just want to give a shout out to Andreas from plebase.com, whose amazing overclocking guide I'll be following today. It's quite an extensive article on how to overclock the Bitaxe, and it covers quite a lot of the nuances I'll be following today in today's video. So if you've got time, please have a read of this article. I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, so here's a rundown of all the parts that we'll need to use today to overclock our Bitaxe. Firstly, we have the Noctua A6x15 fan. It's probably the most popular fan and the most widely used on the market to overclock the Bitaxe. It's a larger fan than the normal 40 by 40 mil fan. It's a 60 by 60 fan. So it provides quite a lot more airflow than the normal 40 by 40 fans. Next, we've got the 52 pi low profile cooler for the Raspberry Pi 5. This is probably one of the most effective coolers on the market today to cool your Bitaxe. It does come with a built-in fan as well, but it's only 40 mil and it's not quite as effective. We also have 2 copper shims here, and I'll explain why we need that in a second. We've got some copper heat sinks as well to put on the front and the rear of the Bitaxe. Copper heat sinks have the best thermal qualities for heat dissipation, so they're quite effective. We've also got 2 3D printed parts here as well. These are provided as STL downloads from Andreas from Plebase, and it's basically the shroud of the fan that will help us to adapt the Noctua fan to the 52 pi low profile cooler. These 2 mounting brackets also help to mount the 52 pi low profile cooler to the Bitaxe as well, as out of the box it won't cleanly mount on it. I got both of these parts printed from my 3D printer supply here. I was looking at buying a Bamboo Labs A1 mini printer to help me with this, but once I explored the providers out there who could actually print 3D models for me, I found one locally who could print the shroud and the mounting brackets for $1 which is cheap. So as you can see, there's not much plastic involved there, but that's a far more cost-effective option. Next, we've also got the Cryonaut Thermal Grizzly thermal paste. This is again probably one of the better thermal pastes on the market. We've also got some screws here that will help us mount the low profile heatsink to the Bitaxe. The M3 by 12 mil is probably the most effective one there to use. And finally, we've got some isopropyl alcohol and some cotton swabs to help clean off the old thermal paste from the Bitaxe. Okay, so let's have a closer look at the Noctua fan, as there's quite a lot of these fans on the market that you can buy, and they all look very similar, and you really need to know how to decipher this code up here. So I will leave a link in the description as well, just to make sure that you do purchase the correct fan. But let's just break this down for you quickly anyway. So NF, Noctua Fan, the A6, the 6 is short for 60, which is 60 mil by 60 mil. So it's a square fan. The 60 by 60 mil fan is actually larger than the default Bitaxe fan, which are only 40 by 40. So you will get better airflow from this. The 15 mil is how fat or wide the fan is itself. From what Andreas was saying, the 15 mil provides a superior airflow and cooling over the fatter 25 mil fan. I guess you could use either technically, but I'm just going off what Andreas has said to be proven. Also, the fan must be 5 volts. That's what all Bitaxes are powered at. And must also be the PWM, which stands for pulse width modulation. So what that means is that it comes with 4 pins and the fan speed is controllable. So let's have a look inside. So there's the fan there itself. Usually this comes with a whole bunch of other bits and pieces inside as well, as you can see. So you get some, there's a USB cable and a few adapters in there as well. But let's have a look at the fan itself. So that's it here. Pull this out. So this is the fan itself, and you can see on this end, you'll get the 4-pin PWM connector as well. I'm sure that's quite focusing there. Now the next piece is the 52 Pi low profile plus cooler for the Raspberry Pi 5. Again, this is probably the most effective cooler on the market right now. So the box comes with a whole bunch of tools and screws. Put that aside for a minute. Comes with some screwdrivers in it as well. Just aside. Let's have a quick look at this fan itself. I mean, not the fan, sorry, the heatsink. So there we go. It's got 4 copper pipes with the fan attached to the top. Now, as mentioned, this fan is only a 40 by 40 mil fan, and although it will cool your Bitax okay, it does only come with, I think, it is a 4-pin, but it's not quite the right adapter. So we will be taking this fan off and putting on the Noctua fan instead. Now, the other 2 parts we've got down are these 2 copper shims. There's one of them there. Now, the whole point of this is because these 4 copper pipes here, how they're configured here, they don't quite span the ASIC chip, the BM1370 ASIC chip on a Bitax. So they only kind of sit across the middle too here, which is fine. However, if you do want to utilize the full power of, or the full cooling capacity of all 4 pipes, quite a lot of people online have said to purchase these little copper shims as well. And what you can do is kind of place them up here with some thermal paste, which I'll do afterwards. It basically allows you to spread the heat fairly evenly across your ASIC controller. Okay, so I've taken the Bitax out of its cover, and I just want to show you where we're going to put the heat sinks. So normally we put a heat sink on the front here, about there, and also on the rear around these 3 dark ones, which is part of the voltage regulator. They're probably the hottest parts of the Bitax. Just double check. Got a temperature thing here. It's running fairly cool now, 22. Collector's about 24, 22. It's not too bad. And on the back, the main voltage regulator is running about 30, 33, 34, 36, 37. And these MOSFETs down here is a bit cooler. It's about 20, about 30. So that's where we're going to be putting our copper heat sinks on those 4 there, 3 there, sorry, and 1 large one on the front there. I have also noticed that some people have put heat sinks on the back of the ASIC chip right here as well. So that's underneath this heat sink, there's the ASIC chip, and the back side of here can get a little bit warm as well. However, I think from what everyone says, it has almost 0 effect on cooling down the Bitax. So I will skip that one today. So these are the copper heat sinks I'll be putting on the Bitax. The copper heat sinks, as mentioned before, have a better thermal quality to help dissipate the heat. They're a lot heavier and larger than the aluminium ones, and they also cost a bit more as well. The screw stuck to it. They're just kind of peel and stick from the back. It's got thermal sticky paste on the back of it, and it's pretty much just peel and stick, so it's pretty simple. So let's do that now. Okay, so here's the placement of the front copper heatsink. It's right on top of where the maximum heat is generated from the voltage regulator behind. And if we turn it around, you can see I've added 3 heatsinks on top of the rear of the voltage regulator and the MOSFETs as well. I did only have 2 more of the copper ones left, so I did have to use aluminium heatsink on the back of the MOSFETs there. Okay, so the next step is to remove this default fan and heatsink from the Bitaxe itself. You can see that it's held down by these 4 secure mounts, and they're kind of just push pin. So if you push them down, they're spring loaded, you can see that the edge of them are a bit thicker, and it kind of just locks it in. So all you need to do is push it down a bit, grab a pair of pliers or tweezers, and kind of squeeze on it and push it back out the other way, and it should pop out. It is a bit tricky though, so let's try that now. Okay, let's just see how we go so we can get it out. So kind of push it out a bit and then use the tweezers to squeeze on it, like so. And then it usually just pops out. There we go. So it's popped out, it's a bit tricky, and we'll do the other side as well. Okay, so I've just popped all 4 of them out. So let's just unplug the fan here as well. It's a 4-pin PWM fan, pulse width modulation for those geeky ones. And this should just pop out here. There we go. You can see that there's a bit of thermal paste all over this one. It's pretty quite a lot on there actually, but we'll get that cleaned up with the isopropyl alcohol and some cotton buds, and we'll get it ready for the new heatsink. Okay, so now let's get the thermal paste off the Bitaxe itself. Just do a quick run first with a paper towel to get it off. It's actually really sticky, this one. Very sticky. Go around the edges a bit as well. Just go very gently on it, just so you don't damage any of the connectors. Probably see that there if it focuses. Just go around the edges, again very gently. There we have it. Okay, let's just get some more of this thermal paste off here, the edges. Again, just go very gently around the edges. Just on top as well. There you go. Okay, so let's have a look at this heatsink and we'll see how it all works and fits together. Okay, so here it is here. We've got the 4 copper pipes again, the actual heatsink and the fan. So the fan we're going to remove because we don't need it. We're going to install the Noctua over it instead. So let's just pop off these this existing fan. There's these kind of 2 metal brackets here that you can pop off with the clips like that, one side, and then the other side should just come off. Now these clips are actually quite handy to use. So the fan we can just put to one side, but these clips we will use to mount the Noctua fan on as well. Okay, so you might recall that the Noctua fan doesn't mount on this exactly as is, which is why we needed that 3D printed shroud. So that's what this is here. So I got this from printers, as I said, just from my local 3D print supplier. Just Google 3D print on demand, and I'm sure you'll get quite a few pop up in your region. So it just kind of snaps on just like that. There's no glue, no clips required. It's kind of designed to just snap on, and there's like ridges under here that kind of holds it on. Like so, yeah. And then if I just grab the Noctua fan out here, just pull it out. side. So the fan will just fit nicely on top, like so. And those these metal clips here will clip on nice and perfectly. So, okay, so let's see how we go. I try to do this behind the camera, it's a bit awkward, but you just kind of hook it in there, hook it in a hole there, the other hole, and then you just kind of snap it down. It kind of locks in like that. We'll do the same on the other side. Again, find these two holes here, here and here. Put the end of the hook in one side and then the other side, and just kind of lift this over and push down. You should hear it kind of snap in like that. So now the fan is securely mounted on to the heatsink. Okay, so these are the two mounting brackets which will actually mount the heatsink onto the Bitaxe itself. Now, they might look symmetrical, but they're not quite. So you'll see, let's see if I can get a close up of this. On one side of them, they're fairly flat. Both sides here, but if you turn it around, you'll see there's a bit of a ridge on this side, and that's to give some gap for the ASIC chip to go in the middle here. So it'll go down this way onto the actual board. So how to fit on here is just like so. So these kind of screw in here with the center screw there and the center screw here, and the screws actually come with the 52 pi corner will actually screw neatly into there. Now, I just want to show you how this will sit on the Bitaxe itself. So normally I mount this with the copper pipes facing up on the Bitaxe there, and it'll kind of go in like so. But you can see, because of the size of the ASIC and the 4 copper pipes, it's only going to really contact the inner 2 copper pipes, which means that you won't get the full cooling benefits of the 4 copper pipes. And that's why we had the 2 copper shims before. So let's prepare this heatsink now with the 2 shims. So the first thing we want to do is get some more of the alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and we'll just give the heatsinks a quick wipe down first, because I've been touching it with my fingers. Just give it a quick wipe down, and then, because of the size of this, we're going to put a bit of thermal paste around here and around here as well. And the whole point of this thermal paste is to kind of help the shim kind of stick to it a bit, and also obviously to distribute heat. So that's about how much thermal paste I've put on it. It's probably a little bit too much. And then we'll just get the copper shims here, kind of placed one on that side and one on that side, and just gently push down firmly. So you should end up something looking like that. So now the ASIC chip will kind of sit in between those, and the heat will be evenly dispersed between the 2 copper plates, and therefore all 4 of the copper pipes as well. So this next step is a little bit tricky, because we need to put on some thermal paste onto the ASIC. We need to plug in the fan, and we need to put in the 4 screws into the Bitaxe here, and we need to try and get everything happening at the same time. Now, just a newbie trap here. First time you do this, you don't want to be mounting this here and then plugging in the fan last, because you see there's almost no give or no space to plug the fan in once you've got the heatsink mounted. So please be sure to plug in the fan before you mount the fan and heatsink. Okay, so firstly, let's put on some thermal paste onto the ASIC. Now, it doesn't need a lot, probably about the size of a grain of rice or so. This, sorry, I'm just trying to get this to focus. So I'll be putting on about, let's have a look. About that much, probably. That much should be plenty for it. Okay, so now let's feed through the 4 12mm screws. So that's how big they are. So we want to feed them through from behind. So 1, 2, oh, that heatsink's not very stable. I need to reposition that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this bit's really tricky now as we need to kind of keep everything going at the same time. So next thing, let's plug in the PWM fan. As mentioned, you need to do this before you put it on, otherwise you will not be able to physically plug it in after that. Okay, this is the kind of tricky bit. Let's just wrap the cable around this way, and we need to try and feed the 4 screws through the 4 mount holes here without smudging off the thermal paste. So let's give this a go. One, 2. It's kind of in. Just tighten it by hand first. Squeeze it in kind of fairly tightly, and then we'll use the screws and nuts to actually tighten it. Okay, so sometimes it's easier to screw this in, I find, if you hold the nut, which is tiny because I've got fat fingers, with the pair of pliers, and then place it on there and then screw from behind. Usually that kind of does the trick, I find. Here we go, it's taken hold at least. Here we go, so all the 4 screws are now screwed in tightly, not too tight, but just tight enough. You can see there's a bit of gap there still. Okay, so I've just moved the Bitaxe over to the side with the other Bitaxes, only because there's no rear fan mounted on the voltage regulators right now. So I've just got a temporary 120mm PC fan blowing on the back of it to help cool it down. It's plugged into its own separate Meanwell PSU to give it plenty of clean juice, and just for reference, the ambient temperature is 21 degrees, 41% humidity right now. So let's jump over to the PC and we'll check out what ASIC OS is saying. So here we are on my PC. Let's hop into ASIC OS for this new Bitaxe, and we'll have a look what we can see. Okay, there we are. We're up and running. We're hashing at 1.53 terahashes. It's currently just on default settings. So it's currently drawing 18.1 watts of power. Input voltage is a little bit low, 4.9. I might need to tweak the Meanwell PSU just a tad. It's still running on default settings, so the ASIC frequency is still on 525, and the voltage would be on, I think, 1150, whatever it is. The ASIC temperature is running 53.9. Now that's probably because the fan is configured to maintain around the 55 degrees by default. Hence, the fan speed is running at only at 16%. It's because we've got the new heatsink and the Noctua fan cooling it down quite effectively. And you can see that that big PC fan, the 120mm fan, is cooling down the voltage regulator quite cool as well, down to 37 degrees. So let's jump over to a command prompt and we can fire up the benchmarking tool. Now, I won't actually give you a full rundown of the tool right now. I'll create another quick short video for those people who have not used it before, and I'll just create a video on how to install Python and how to set it up and to download the script from GitHub and to start your own benchmarking. But I've got all that configured right now. So let's just go into the directory with the actual Python script in it. Bitaxe. Now, all you need to do to run it is to type in Python and then the script name. So it's Bitaxe _ hash rate _ benchmark.py, and you just type in the IP number of the Bitaxe that you want to benchmark. So in my case, it's 192.168.2.63. So I will leave this running, and I'll come back to the video in the morning sometime.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, so here we are the next morning. The benchmarking script has completed its run, and you can see the average hash rate right now is running about 2.25 terahashes a second, which is ridiculously amazing compared to the 1 terahash that we're getting before the overclock and before the additional cooling that we've added to it. Now just have a quick look down here. So the ASIC temperature is running at a cool 62.1 degrees, and the voltage regulator around 79, and it's pulling about 43 watts. So it's pulling about twice as, or not quite twice, about 1.6, 1.7 times the amount of normal power that I would normally. Voltage is running a little bit under 4.9 volts, and you can see where the final benchmarking tool has ended, running at the ASIC frequency of 1085 megahertz, and the voltage, let's just have a look into the settings here for exact reading. Yep, so the frequency 1085 megahertz and a core voltage 1350. So that's where it kind of bottomed out, I guess, or sorry, not bottomed out, maxed out, I guess, in terms of how far it could push this particular ASIC chip. So you can see, yeah, the average is jumped up to 2.45 terahashes, which is, yeah, even better. So look, I'm very happy with the outcome of this. Let's just have a look at the actual script right now. Okay, so here's the command window where it finished off running the actual benchmarking. So let's see what happened. So it looks like it stopped because the ASIC temperature exceeded 65 degrees. So you can see here the last run was 63, and then hit 64. And the next iteration, so iteration 12 or 40, must have hit around 65, which is one of my ceiling cutoffs for maximum temperatures. So it's obviously hit that thermal limit and has called it quits. So you can see there, that's where it's ended. One of the most common questions asked online is, what is the maximum ASIC temperature I should be aiming for? And what is the maximum voltage regulated temperature I should be aiming for? So as I've just said, I've targeted mine at 85 degrees for the voltage and 65 degrees for my ASIC. Now, if you look here, ASIC temperatures ideal is 50 to 65. Upper safeties is 70. So I've got mine around 65. So I'm kind of bordering on the ideal range to, you know, and under the upper safety limit. I believe, oh, here we go. Yep, the internal thermal throttling activates at 75 degrees. So I'm nowhere near that. I'm 10 degrees underneath that. And there's no risk or damage until it hits around 90 degrees. So I'm way off that ceiling as well. For the voltage regulator, safe and continuous operation up to 120 degrees. But recommended below 100. Community suggests 80 to 88. So again, I've got mine set to 85 degrees. So I could push this a little bit higher. And technically, I could push the ASIC temp up to around 70 as well, and an extra 5 degrees to what I've got it now. If I wanted to, and I might be able to squeeze out 2.5, 2.6 terahashes per second. Who knows? I might try that next just to see how far I can really push this baby. Okay, so I might end this video here. Overall, I'm very impressed with the overclocking that I've been able to do on this cheap AliExpress Bitaxe Gamma. You know, pushing 2.26 terahashes on average. That's more than double that what I was hashing before for a very cheap and very small upgrade. I might leave it there. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos.